Yeah, guys, I'm on here because we're going to be missing a few guys at practice today. I know the league put out a statement that there were some issues at one of the labs, and I think there's 10 or 11 teams were one of those. So that's why we initially trying to get things figured out, and we back practice up an hour. Gone through a lot of extra point of care testing that we're able to do here, just to help to get some of the people back in the building that were in close contact. But we'll still be missing some players out there today, some key guys you'll see when you get out there. I can't go through those names, but you can figure it out if it's not someone that's been on the injury report. So with that, we're just trying to be very cautious. We've been open with our team. The league jumped on this early to let us know that it wasn't just our team. It was a lot of teams, and I think some went ahead and canceled the day. We did talk about that at one point, but as we got more information, we felt like it was more of a lab issue and not a true, issue with our guys currently. With that said, I'll open up questions.
Hey, Brandon, John Scott. Certainly everything about this is new. Is there some part of it that you're glad an issue happened in training camp as opposed to in figuring out how you would operate in this type of a circumstance as opposed to down the line once the regular season hits?
Yeah, it's a good fire drill, John, for our coaches, that are going to be missing some guys out there today and teammates as well. Maybe some guys that were running with the twos are now running with the ones, or they're running with the twos. So it'll give guys a chance to maybe step up at those particular positions, and it gives our coaches a chance to, what if this happened on game day, and how would we respond? And obviously it can change game plans depending on, which players you'd be missing on either side of the ball. So it's unfortunate. I know some of these guys, these players, talked to a few of them. They want to be here. They're frustrated. But this is all the process that we're dealing with. And we still have to be cautious if they had what's called a false positive, and make sure they're truly safe. But it did allow us to bring some of the close contacts. Had that not happened, I'm not sure we could have practiced, because there was, so many guys that were next to each other.
Thanks.
Hey, Brandon, Josh Reed here. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes, unfortunately, for this. But, it's so important in your industry to kind of keep that level mindset at all times. How difficult is it not to ride that roller coaster? Because I'm sure the fans do day to day. I know, we're sitting here waiting on you to come out, wondering what's going on. How hard is it for you personally to maintain?
Yeah, Sean and I know that we've talked about this over and over, and Nate Bresky, our head trainer, we have a lot of conversations about this, and we have tried to tell everybody, players, coaches, staff, that you have to expect the unexpected, and don't buckle your knees every day. I think I said at the first press conference I did with you guys a few weeks ago, is that every morning, it's getting a text or getting a call from Nate to me and Sean to see what's up. And today was one of those mornings like, oh man, we got our work cut out for us. But everybody's handled it the right way. People adjusted. We backed you guys up an hour. We backed our whole building up an hour just coming in, and everybody's been great and was ready to roll, an hour later than scheduled.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
You got it, Josh.
Hey, Brandon, Sal Capaccio, WGR Radio here. Hope you can see me.
I see you. Looking good, Sal.
Thanks. I got a bit of a glare coming. That's not a ball joke. I'm in the parking lot here with the.
It's a pretty good glare.
All right. Hey, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you as a group since the extensions for Sean and for Dion. You could just kind of touch on both of them, and just where they are and where you guys are as an organization, and why those extensions were given out.
Yeah, we'll start with Dion. Super happy for him and will earn it. I know a lot of people have spoken on this already, but we love to, we say it, draft, develop, and re-sign our own. So this is proof in the pudding of a young man who came in here as a rookie, had a what I thought was a pretty nice rookie year. Year two, we talked about it, was not as consistent as he would have liked or we would have liked. And thought he came back year 3 and was dialed in and had a really nice year. And we didn't have an off season with him, but obviously we stayed in touch virtually and really just happy with where he's at and think he's trending up. And he's the type of player that we want here for the long term. And so, all respect to him and his agent. I thought they did a great job. And Jim Overdorf, on our side, did a great job of getting that done. And then with Sean, that's great to have. You want your head coach. I think he very much earned it. I think, I don't know that there's anything left that he could have answered at this point other than, us going and winning playoff games. But in the build where we're at, I think he's checked all the boxes that a coach 3 years in that's gone through a total real rebuild like we've had to do here, Sal. And, second, he and his wife, I can promise you I was the next happiest person that this got done. And Buffalo's got the right guy in charge for a long time, as the head coach.
Thank you very much. And I know a lot of us appreciate you doing this and being transparent for us before we get out to practice today. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, Sal.
Hey, Brandon. Bove here. Good to see you again.
Hey,
kind of piggybacking off of what Sale said, you just mentioned taking care of your own. You got a couple other people who I'm sure come to mind. I don't really think I need to say their names. How urgent are you guys with, knowing that there are other players that probably do need to get paid down the line here?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's become harder because of we're operating off a 175 cap, but I know the names you're talking about. We love those guys, and we want them here, and we're going to try our best to figure out how to get these guys done. And I don't really speak on negotiations. I think that's the best way to do business. Obviously, nothing was out on Dion until it got done, and that's the way I like to do business. And so far, the agents have responded with that. So we'll see. Nothing I can really give you as far as something's about to be done or anything like that. It just, we'll take it a day by day, but really want those guys that, just like Dion, that we draft, develop. We do want to re-sign as many as we can.
And hey, this is kind of going back to the COVID stuff, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but just from a logistic question, if it does turn out that these tests are false positives, what would the timeline be like for those players potentially returning to practice? Because I know they wouldn't necessarily come up on the injury report. So just for clarity's sake, do you know any of that information yet?
Yeah. So they get a point of care test here today, which those have been negative. As long as they're negative tomorrow, those guys can come back in. The protocol says you have to have 2 negatives after a positive to return. So assuming that all these, quote, false positives come back negative again, tonight, or a lot of times we get these in the middle of the night, these results, but then we'd let these players know, they can come back, tomorrow morning ready to roll.
Well, thanks, Brandon.
You got it, Matt. Good seeing you.
Hey, Brandon, Thad Brown, thanks for doing this. What other reactions or precautions did the team taking today? I know the Browns said they're deep cleaning, they're going through the whole facility and making sure it's all good. Are you guys doing anything more other than just holding the handful of players out of practice today?
No, right now that's it. We had an open dialogue with our players. We even had some of our leadership crew of players on with Dr. Sills this morning, just hearing directly from him, who's aware of all these tests that have gone, a little bit haywire here in the Northeast. So, and I think that was good for them to hear, because naturally, if you're going to be out there tackling and blocking and things like that, passing the ball around, people might be a little unnerved if we've got some guys missing. And so we want to be very transparent with our players. We want to be fair to everyone, because, again, it's not just them. We know people are going home. We're not in a bubble, and we want to make sure that we're doing this right. And I think the players were on board. And, Sean has basically told any of the guys, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, then you're okay. You can have a pass. We're not, forcing someone to go out and practice, when they're uncomfortable. I think that would just be the wrong message for us to send.
Do you think this is an opportunity to shake bugs out of the prevention system for the league, or is there a concern, 3 weeks from now, this is a game day, that, you could simply, because of a lab issue, have half your offense not being able to play in a game?
Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be something the league is going to try and work out, and what would be what would the case be? My question immediately would be, if you realize it's a lab issue, would a point of care test, on the game site, if it was negative, would that allow the player to play? And I don't have that answer, but that's the question that we'll have to see how the league would respond to that. And they may not even know that answer yet. So definitely probably better that this happened now than 3 weeks from now. But it seems like every few weeks, even every week, something's going on. And so who knows what the next curveball will be.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, that.
Hey, Brandon, John Warrow.
What's up,
Back
John?
to the same area code.
Nice.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah. Everybody's asked all the right questions about the COVID thing, and it's good you guys are being very precautionary on that. But so I'm looking at a question about Josh Allen, and just how integral is his development? He needs to continue on that growth path this year. And how many because he seems to be the only major question mark. I know you've got a lot, but how much does he have to prove himself this year to you and the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, Josh is his own worst critic. You guys are at practice. You guys are able to see the things he does well and then the things that he knows he's got to do better. And so I don't worry about that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're evaluating everybody. Josh will be no different, and we'll see where he's at. He's been in the league 2 years. He took a nice jump from year 1 to year 2. Unfortunately for him and a lot of guys, Josh's still a young player. And unfortunately, we didn't have a legit offseason. And so you're trying right now to put in plays for this personnel group. This is the first time Dable's had this group to work with. He's had some of the pieces, but not all the pieces. So trying to put that in, trying to also evaluate, we lost Feliciano. So we're working on evaluating, the right side of that O-line. And so a lot of changing parts from receivers, tight ends to even linemen, those can all affect, a passing play. And so I think all of that is a slow build. I think the defense, all my years in doing this, the defense is always ahead of the curve over offense. And especially with our defense, with as much continuity as that group has. So I do think the offense is naturally going to be a little slower to build with all the new plays and the personnel that they've got in there.
That said, I mean, there are challenges every year, and I know this offseason's been unique. Would that mean that you're judging Josh on some kind of a bell curve because of COVID and whatever? But because he's got to prove himself to some degree, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got to prove himself. But again, we're a lot of guys do, and no, we don't have a COVID bell curve or anything like that. I think naturally you're going to see the league. I don't think it's going to. I would assume I'd be surprised if it's the prettiest football early with no preseason. You got some of these teams with new staffs altogether, and with that can be a disadvantage for them, but it can be an advantage from not knowing, especially not seeing them in preseason, not knowing what types of plays certain coordinators will run, things like that. So, we play Miami week 2. They've got some new coordinators. So we're not going to have a lot. They'll have one game under their belt before we see, how they execute. But they can use that to an advantage, as well, as other teams will. So I think the first few weeks, John, people are going to be kind of feeling their way and trying to figure out. We're going to have to be testing what personnel packages are working, what's not, who's playing better. Some guys, you guys see it. They practice. They're not very good in practice, or they're just middle of the road, but they're gamers. They get out there, and every time they get a chance, they make a play. And then on the inverse, you got some what I call he's on the all-practice team. Guy makes plays all day long in practice, but you get under the lights, and he fades or doesn't show up. So those are some of the things that I love about preseason. You get some guys under the lights, and they really make some plays, or – man, every time this guy's been out there in a game, he just hasn't been able to do it, even though he's done it in practice. That's part of, the part that I'm going to struggle with as far as we cut this roster down is, we're going to have to evaluate some guys that never got to play in a true game.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, John.
Hey, Brandon. So understanding that there still isn't the final result or outcome from what took place in this lab in question, but it seems to be trending in the direction of false positive. With that in mind, is the system, this testing system that's in place now, shaken your confidence and or the organization's confidence in any way? This what happened from this lab?
No, I mean, listen, that stuff's way above my pay grade as far as these people that do the lab results, and I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of what happened. Now, if it was happening a lot, Vic, I think that would start to shake anyone's confidence. But we've been using them for a month or so now, and this is the first time this seems to have happened. An incident like this where it's gone over multiple clubs, things like that. So we'll always err. Sean and I will always err on the side of caution. And that's what we did, whatever it was 3+ weeks ago when we sent everybody home. We're still filling this out, even though it is a month in. But as I sit here today, Vic, no, I just look at it as, something went wrong in this lab, it sounds like, and we'll adjust. Everybody's going to do things differently. And hopefully, these guys that did have these positives that are having to sit out, hopefully they'll be able to be negative on the next test and be able to come back tomorrow and join the team.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for doing this.
You got it, Vic.
Hey, Brandon. Sal Mayorana in Rochester. Good to see you.
You too, Sal.
Look, I'm back to football here. Like Vic or these guys said, everything's been asked on the COVID. Talk about your rookie class. I don't think we've asked you since we talked to you last, because you've seen them in practice now. Just how tough is it going to be for these rookies to be able to contribute, especially early in the year? Gabe Davis comes to mind because your receivers are so deep. Could you just address that maybe?
Yeah, that's real, Sal. Just the reps. We talk about getting reps, and they are only getting so many reps. And so it's a comfort level with rookies anyway, is when you put this guy into the fire, how's he going to do? And as I was telling, Waro a few minutes ago, this, not having a preseason game to see how some of these guys play, how much are we going to trust them game one? How much are we going to trust them game two? And I think you'll see across the league, the rookies start out slow. You may even see some guys that maybe you would think are going to be active and helping teams early. Maybe they're inactive a week or two, just to give them a little longer to even be around the game, stand on the sidelines and watch the speed, watch what happens. I mean, I don't know, and that's nothing indicative of our team or our plans, but it will be, it will be hard for some of these players, especially when they're not getting first-team reps. You're getting those second and third reps. That means, we're trying to get, speaking of offense, we're trying to get Josh as many reps as we can with the ones, or the guys at least competing with ones. So if you're not a starter, you're already going to lose some of the reps that you would have normally had by now.
Now, if I could ask you real quick, everyone's talking about Zach Moss. Everyone's excited about him, but you got Devin Singletary. Can you give us your thought, your expectation on what he could possibly do in year two here?
Yeah, I think I give Devin a lot of credit. His weight's similar to what he played at last year, but I think he's lost some of that baby fat. I think he's toned it up, and he's had a serious approach to his offseason. I think Frank Gore was a great role model for him to learn from last year, and I think he's picked. I think he picked Frank's brains a lot on things, and he's been very professional about getting his body right and getting ready. He missed a few games with the hamstring, so that was one of the things we were talking to him this year about the offseason, making sure he was doing the proper stretching and strength training to, prevent an injury, such as that, because we did miss him, for those 3 weeks last year. So we'll count on Devin, just like Josh taking a step from year one to year two, we'll count on Devin to take that step now that Frank's gone, as our starter. And then we're excited about Zach and what he'll bring. But back to your question originally, he's a rookie too. And so he's getting hit a little bit, last Thursday, and we'll have another scrimmage this Thursday, but there's only so much live contact he's going to get. So we'll kind of ease him into the fold once the season gets going as well.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, Sal. Derek told me one more.
Brandon, good morning. Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you.
All right. Josh Norman being out, EJ Gaines opt out. Right now, backing up Tre'Davious and Levi. You still have some good players, but yet unproven. Are you looking to bring in some cornerbacks?
You know, right now we're not, but we're definitely, like any position, we are surveying the market. And, you know, what naturally happens when you lose a Josh, you do immediately go to your player available board and make some updated calls with agents. And we have some guys on standby to work out. But, you know, as we sit here today, we don't have anybody lined up, but it's something we're definitely keeping close tabs on. We like where some of the young guys are. I know who you're referring to, and they lack some experience, but we like where they're at, and we want to just continue to give them reps. We still have 3 weeks. There are some vets out there that we feel like we could go to, but what we don't want to do is limit these guys' opportunity to prove themselves. I appreciate that question.
Appreciate you, Brandon, man, and have yourself a good day.
All right. Thank you, too. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody.